Christmas Eve found Daniel Mitchell exactly where he'd been every December 24th for the past 6 years, working the late shift at Harborside Marina, polishing boats for people who spent more on yacht maintenance than he made in a year. His 3 daughters were at his mother's house, probably already asleep, dreaming of the modest Christmas morning he'd cobbled together from overtime pay and careful budgeting. Emma was 11 now, and the twins Sarah and Julia had just turned 9. They understood why Daddy couldn't always be there. Understanding didn't make it hurt less. Daniel was 51 and felt every year of it tonight. The marina was nearly empty at 10 p.m. Most of the wealthy boat owners were at holiday parties or warm in their homes. Daniel moved methodically through his checklist, his breath fogging in the December air. The Christmas bonus from the marina owner had been smaller than expected, but it was enough to cover the girls' new winter coats and maybe a few small gifts. He was coiling a rope on the dock when he heard footsteps behind him. "Excuse me?" Daniel turned to find a woman standing in the glow of the dock lights. She looked to be in her late 50s, wearing an expensive wool coat and boots clearly not meant for marina walkways. Her silver blonde hair was pulled back, and even in the dim light, he could see she'd been crying. "Ma'am? The office is closed. If you need—" "I don't need the office," she interrupted, her voice shaky. "I need to ask you something. It's going to sound insane." Daniel set down the rope slowly. "Are you all right? Do you need me to call someone?" "No. Yes, I don't know." She laughed, a brittle sound. "I'm Catherine Brennan, that's my yacht." She gestured to the largest boat in the marina, a gleaming vessel that probably cost more than Daniel would make in 5 lifetimes. He knew the name. Brennan Industries, tech sector, one of the most successful CEOs in the state. "Nice to meet you, Ms. Brennan." "I'm Daniel Mitchell. I maintain the boats here." "I know who you are," Catherine said. "I've seen you here before, working when everyone else is at home. Always polite, always thorough. You have daughters, don't you?" Daniel stiffened slightly. "3 girls. How did you—" "I notice things," Catherine said. "I've built my career on noticing details other people miss. You wear a medical alert bracelet for a penicillin allergy. You have photos of 3 girls in your truck. You take your lunch breaks in your vehicle, probably to save money. And based on your work schedule, I'd guess you're raising them alone." It should have felt invasive, but something in her voice suggested loneliness rather than intrusion. "Their mother passed away 7 years ago. Cancer. I've been doing my best since then." "I'm sorry," Catherine said, and she sounded like she meant it. "My husband died 3 months ago. Heart attack. Completely unexpected. We'd been married for 32 years. I'm sorry for your loss." "Don't be," Catherine said bitterly. "We'd been living separate lives for years, stayed married for appearances, for the company image. He had his life, I had mine. We were business partners who happened to share a name." She looked out at the dark water. "And now he's gone, and I'm standing on a dock on Christmas Eve realizing I have absolutely no one. No children, no real friends, just employees and board members and people who want something from me." Daniel didn't know what to say, so he stayed quiet. "My lawyer called today," Catherine continued. "Final reading of the will. My husband left his half of the company to his mistress. Did you know he had a mistress? I did. Everyone did. It's humiliating, but that's not even the worst part. The board is pushing me out. They want a younger CEO, fresh vision. They're offering me a settlement to step down quietly." "That's terrible," Daniel said quietly. "I built that company." Catherine's voice cracked. 40 years of my life. I sacrificed everything. No children because there wasn't time. No hobbies. No life outside those walls. And now they're taking it away, and I realize today that I have nothing. No one. I came here tonight because I didn't want to spend Christmas Eve alone in that big empty house. Pathetic, right? "Not pathetic," Daniel said gently. "Human." Catherine laughed again, wiping her eyes. "I've been sitting in my yacht for 2 hours drinking very expensive wine and making very poor decisions. Which brings me to my insane question." "Okay," Daniel said carefully. Catherine took a deep breath. "My lawyer said there's a way to keep the board from forcing me out. A clause in the company bylaws. If I'm married, they need my spouse's signature to remove me as CEO. It's an old provision from when the company was founded, meant to protect founding families. Daniel began to see where this was going. I know this is crazy, Catherine continued, speaking faster now. We're strangers. You have every reason to say no, but I'm desperate, and you're the first genuinely decent person I've encountered in months, maybe years. She met his eyes. Can you be my husband? The question hung in the cold air between them. You want me to marry you, Daniel said slowly, to save your company. Yes. No, I don't know. Catherine pressed her hands to her face. I'm drunk and desperate, and this is a terrible idea. Forget I said anything. I'll just go. How would it work? Daniel asked. Catherine stopped. What if I said yes? Which I'm not saying I am, but, hypothetically, how would it work? Catherine's business mind seemed to engage despite the wine. Marriage of convenience, legal and binding but in name only. You'd maintain your own residence. We'd make public appearances together when necessary. In exchange, I'd pay you enough to be comfortable, to provide for your daughters, college funds, health care, whatever you need. Why me? Daniel asked. You could hire someone, an actor, someone from your social circle. Because you're real, Catherine said simply. You're here working on Christmas Eve to provide for your children. You're kind. You didn't make me feel stupid when I started crying on your dock. And honestly, I'm tired of fake people. If I'm going to have a fake marriage, at least let it be with someone genuine. Daniel should have said no. This was insane. But he thought about his daughters, about Emma needing braces, about the twins wanting to take dance classes he couldn't afford, about the constant anxiety of one unexpected expense away from disaster. I need to think about it, he said. Of course, Catherine said quickly. Take all the time you need. Here's my card. Call me when you've decided. Or don't call, I'll understand. She left quickly, stumbling slightly on the dock. Daniel watched her expensive car pull away, then looked at the business card in his hand. He called her 3 days after Christmas. Miss Brennan? It's Daniel Mitchell, from the marina. I remember. Catherine's voice was cautious. I apologize again for putting you in that position. I was out of line. I'll do it, Daniel interrupted. Under certain conditions. There was a long pause. You're serious? My daughters come first. Always. They can't know this is a business arrangement, as far as they're concerned. We met and fell in love. I won't lie to them about that. I can live with that, Catherine said quietly. Second, we do this right. No cutting corners. We date. We let them get to know you. When we do get married, it needs to feel real to them. They've lost enough. I won't let them lose trust in me, too. That's fair. Third, if at any point this hurts them, emotionally, socially, anything, we end it. No matter what it means for your company, they are my priority. Understood, Catherine said. Daniel, thank you. You're saving my life. You're giving my daughters a future, Daniel replied. Let's call it even. They started dating in January. Catherine was nervous around the girls at first, clearly unused to children. But she tried. She asked about their interests, brought thoughtful gifts, art supplies for Emma, who loved to draw, science kits for Sarah, who wanted to be an astronomer, books for Julia, who read voraciously. The girls were cautious initially, but Catherine was patient. She showed up to Emma's art show. She helped Sarah build a telescope. She discussed books with Julia for hours. And slowly, something unexpected happened. The arrangement that was supposed to be purely business started to feel real. Daniel found himself looking forward to seeing Catherine. The way she laughed at his terrible jokes. How she'd never cooked a meal in her life but gamely tried to learn so she could have dinner with them. The vulnerability beneath her polished exterior. Catherine began to change too. She left work earlier, started asking about Daniel's day like she genuinely cared. Played board games with the girls on weekends, looked more relaxed than Daniel had ever seen her. 6 months after that night on the dock, they married in a small ceremony. The girls wore matching dresses and couldn't stop smiling. Catherine's hand shook as Daniel slipped on her ring. This was supposed to be fake, she whispered during their first dance. I know, Daniel whispered back, but it doesn't feel fake anymore. Does it? No, Catherine admitted. It feels terrifyingly real. The first year was an adjustment. Catherine bought a house big enough for all of them, not a mansion, but a real home with a yard where the girls could play. She scaled back her hours at the company. Daniel stopped working nights, accepting Catherine's insistence that he didn't need to anymore. They learned each other slowly. Catherine's fear of losing control. Daniel's worry that he wasn't enough. The way they both protected themselves by keeping others at arm's length. But the girls bridged the gap. Emma called Catherine Mom 6 months after the wedding, and Catherine cried for an hour. The twins followed soon after. 2 years in, Catherine came home early to find Daniel making dinner while the girls did homework at the kitchen table. The scene was so ordinary, so domestic, so unlike anything she'd ever imagined for herself. "I love you," she said suddenly. Daniel turned from the stove. The girls looked up from their books. "I know this started as a business arrangement," Catherine continued. "I know I hired you to be my husband, but somewhere along the way, it stopped being fake. You're not just saving my company, Daniel. You saved me. You and these 3 beautiful girls gave me a family I didn't know I needed." Daniel crossed the kitchen and pulled her close. "I love you too. I think I have for a while now. I was just afraid to say it." "So we're really married?" Emma asked. "Like, for real? "For real," Catherine confirmed, laughing through tears. 5 years after that Christmas Eve on the dock, Catherine stood in the backyard watching Daniel teach the twins to change a tire. Emma was inside baking cookies. She developed Catherine's love of precision and detail, applying it to pastry instead of business. Her phone rang. The board chairman. "Catherine, we need you to sign off on the merger papers." "Not interested," Catherine said pleasantly. "The company's doing fine as is. We've been over this, and I've been clear. I'm not stepping down. I'm not selling. And if you try to force me out again, my husband and I will make it very difficult for you. We own controlling interest now, if you recall. Check the paperwork from last quarter. She'd bought out her late husband's mistress's shares, then convinced 3 other major shareholders to sell to her. Daniel had been instrumental in those negotiations, his genuine nature putting people at ease in ways Catherine's sharp edges never could. "This is highly irregular," the chairman sputtered. "So is trying to push out your CEO because you underestimated her." Catherine replied, "Happy holidays. Don't call me again unless it's actual company business." She hung up and walked over to her family. Daniel looked up and smiled, and Catherine's heart still skipped a beat. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Everything's perfect," she said, and meant it. That night, after the girls were in bed, Catherine and Daniel sat on the porch. She leaned against him, comfortable in a way she'd never been with anyone. "Do you ever think about that night?" she asked. "When I asked you to marry me on a dock while half drunk?" "Sometimes," Daniel admitted. "Craziest thing anyone's ever asked me." "Best decision I ever made," Catherine said, "even if it was terrible judgment at the time." "I almost said no," Daniel confessed. "It seemed too risky, too strange. But then I thought about giving my girls a better life, and I convinced myself it was worth it. And now?" Daniel kissed the top of her head. "Now I can't imagine my life without you. You're not just my wife on paper, Catherine. You're my partner, my best friend. The love I didn't think I'd find again." "I didn't think I'd find it at all," Catherine whispered. "I thought love was for other people, people with time for it, people who weren't too busy climbing corporate ladders. Turns out, I just needed someone to ask me to climb down and see what was waiting at the bottom. 3 daughters and a guy who works on boats," Daniel said wryly. "My whole world," Catherine corrected. "Everything that matters." If this story reminded you that love can come from the most unexpected questions and that sometimes the craziest decisions lead to the most beautiful lives, please like and share it. Subscribe for more stories about taking chances on love and finding family in surprising places. And comment below about a time someone asked you something that changed everything. Sometimes all it takes is one person brave enough to ask and another person brave enough to say yes.